everyone, today we're going to be doing some layering with different colours of vinyl. You can use permanent or removable. If you do use removable, be mindful that you don't want to put that out in the weather like you can with permanent vinyl. Like permanent vinyl is good for decals on your cars and just anything that's going to get weathered. Your removables, if you want to replace labels after a while, that's probably best to use, or even if something's going to be protected. And I purchased one of these at Kmart. It's got two acrylic sheets in there that are coated on both sides, so you can use either one or both in there and sandwich something in between. It has got a chain, but I took it off. It's got a chain that you can hang it on the wall, or it's got like a picture frame section on the back that you can hold it upright. So I'm actually taking the chain now and I'm going to vinyl it. I don't know if you can hear my cat. She's having some separation anxiety right now, meowing at me. Sorry about that. So basically you could engrave on this like we did in our previous video, and do a design and then paint it, or like I said, you could sandwich something in there like roses or flowers or daisies and then press it. I mean, you don't have to use your Cricut, or you could do like a fancy border and then press some flowers inside of it. Just some different ideas. I'm not going to engrave it all. I am going to, like I said, put some vinyl on that. And so we'll get stuck into it. I've chosen a flower design that I got off of Design Space. I just added another leaf in there and cut out some slots to make it look like a leaf. It's got 3 different colours that I've chosen. I'll just ungroup that, and as you can see, it's got the 3 different colouring. So I'm going to show you just a little trick that I've learnt while doing vinyl layering, which has become helpful. It doesn't matter what shape you choose, but I'm going to choose a little circle about that big, and I'm going to put that next to my project where I know it's going to cut all the colours, so probably about there. And I'm going to duplicate that 3 times with the duplication button over here, or twice, sorry. So I've got 3 dots because I've got 3 colours. I'm just going to stack them over each other and control on my keyboard and just click all 3 so they're all 3 are highlighted, and then I'm going to align them center so they're on top of each other. So now I can go to my color sync over next to my layers, and I can actually drop one of the circles on the green, one of the circles on the orange, and the other circle on the cream. We now want to attach each item together so that they stay in the same position. So holding your control on your keyboard and selecting the little green circle, you want to attach, so that becomes one. And then same with the center of your flower and the little circle, you want to attach that. And then you want to get the cream and the little circle and attach that. So now if I go to make that, you'll actually see each color is now in position with that circle being in the same spot on every color. So you may think, oh, hang on a minute, that green's not in the position as the cream is, but if you actually cancel out, you'll see the green is lower than the cream, so that is actually in the right position. So now you can go ahead and cut these in those colors. So we're going to go to our mat, select that, and cut these colors. We've got our circle inside of our flower that we want to cut, and I'm just going to roll that on there and then put that on our Cricut and load that into cut. We'll go continue, and then we'll check. We're going to use vinyl, and I always like to go more just to be safe, and then just run that through. Okay, so now we can say that we're done, and we can go back to our design and just make sure that we've got it the way that we have it positioned. I'm just going to drop that down in there. Whoops. Sorry. Go back again. Alrighty, so I'm just going to bring that back up above that. That's what I was trying to aim for, but it's having a moment. So there we are. So we can look at our design and see exactly what we're looking at while we're working on this. And we're just going to go back to our actual vinyl that we cut out. And I just got a pack of scrap vinyl from a craft store that I know that you can go pretty much to any craft store, like supplier of vinyl, and ask them if they have any packs that they sell of offcuts. And I got various different colours, and as you can see, some reflective ones, so holographic type ones, so you can get all sorts if you ask. And with the ones that are holographic and stuff like that, it is pretty hard to see the cutouts, but if you just shimmy it around in your light, you may find it easier. You can put a lamp over the top and find it. So I want to use the rest of those vinyl pieces, so I'm going to keep them and just cut out what I want. I'm now going to weed what I don't want and keep what I do on the backing sheet. So just use your weeding tool, pick out what you don't want, just hold it down. Sometimes it may lift. You just want to make sure that you've got that and the circle, and that it doesn't move from its position, because that's your guideline. So I'm just going to get rid of that excess there. And then we've got our inserts. I'll just remove our inserts. And there's our green. And then with the gold, we don't want to lift that little circle. We want to keep that in the same position. You don't have to use a circle. You can use a star or a triangle. You can even make it even a lot smaller than I did. This is foil, so sometimes it's not the easiest to cut. And we just want to make sure both circles remain in the same position as the layering they were. And there's that vinyl, and then the same with the holographic. Grab a corner, and it's almost like foil, so just persevere with the cornering. Sometimes lift it up and just check that you've got it separated. There you go. So as you can see, it's like foil. Make sure that you cut little bits out, and your petals don't lift up as well. So hold down with the corner of your weeding tool just to tear that cut seam, which can be, or you just want to double check that it went through more. Sorry, it's being foil. Foil is always fun. It can be a real pain sometimes, and it tears really easy. As you can see, I just teared that corner away, so like the joint in between. So just be careful when you're working with foil. Now you want to make sure I've got that circle, and I'm just trying to find where the cut line is, because I've got little circles in my eyes. Okay, so it's there. The design is also all little circles, so I'm trying to make sure I don't move that. That stays in the same position, and I don't lift it, and make sure it stays in that same position. Okay, my foil is trying to tear that little bit. Even though I cut on more, you can see that sometimes some materials that you use aren't always your friend. It can be a bit difficult. So just give me a few minutes while I sort this out. I'll be right back. Okay, so that took a little bit because it, like I said, foil isn't always easy to cut with and can be temperamental, and even though, like I said, I cut on more, it still gave me a bit of an issue. So now, lining that up, I should have my circles pretty much on par, which they are. And same with that circle. If I put that there, that should join into the seam of my flower, which you can see there. So now I want to put some transfer tape. I have a large roll here that I use. I can put the description. I bought this in Melbourne, Australia. So I find this really great with vinyl, and it's got a nice tack, and it's usable, reusable all the time because it's got a nice texture to it. So but I am going to do these separately and burnish this down. Sorry, I forgot to grab that. And I'm just gonna put them all on one row and cut them out after, and stick that one in there. And burnish those down. Do it in different directions. And then lift them up, cut them off, separate them. I mean, you can cut them in pieces and then layer it on there. But I've got some more transfer tape for later that I'll just put aside, and cut that away. And now I've got my 3 pieces with transfer. Now you want to clean your surface, whatever you're using, with isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free cloth. But because this has got plastic on there, I'm really not going to do that. Well, there's no need to do that because I've got my design clean, my surface, my project is clean, should I say, because I've just peeled that off. I should have really lined up exactly where I wanted this at first before I peeled that plastic coating off, but I kind of want it there and there in the middle, so that needs to come over a little bit more maybe, but I'm pretty happy with that there. And then the petal there, that looks like it's centered, and then there. So I'm going to now layer the leaves and the stem first, because that's roughly where I want it. Actually, you know what, I'm going to do the flower, so I want that about there. And I'm now going to remove the backing tape, and if it doesn't come off like that's lifting there, use your tool, your burnish scraper tool, and to scrape that down. And you may even need to roll on a 45-degree angle and pull away as you're rolling and hold firm, and that's how I like to do it. So that circle is going to be our guideline to match up everything else. So I'm roughly going to put it there. I've layered it where I want, and I'm going to now scrape that in position. And being my first layer, I can now remove the transfer tape. And whoop, she's pretty firm. And now I'm going to show you another little trick of what I've learnt over the years. Okay, so the trick that we have and that we like to use, some of us people out there that you might want to start adopting, is some baking paper or parchment paper, whatever you want to call it, cooking sheets. But this is a trick that we sort of want to use. So I'm going to line that up there, and I'm going to remove the backing sheet of this. I actually might use my other bits of transfer tape that I had cut away and used on the other one, just to hold that down so it doesn't lift and move for a few moments. And I've got that in position where I want it, and I'm going to remove the backing off of this. I may need to, no, there we go. So now I want to line this up in my petal and not stick it down yet until I've got it overlapped on that circle. So I want to make sure I've got it lined up with the petal and with that circle, and I think I need to come down a little bit more. And using the baking paper, which lifted then, using the baking paper has actually given me the opportunity to stick down this green one without sticking it on my vinyl and having an issue where I've just stuck two vinyls together and I can't pull them apart. And that's the whole purpose of using the baking sheets, is so that you can layer it without it moving. So I've now got that in position where I want that dot, and that's our guideline that we used before. I can now lift up this baking sheet and I can now scrape down the leaf, and it's on line on top of that other one and it's in position. I can now grab the transfer tape and lift it up, pull back on top of itself in that angle, make sure it's all laid, and as you can see, it's in position exactly where I wanted it, and there's no mistake of putting it in the wrong spot. So now I want to do the same thing with the parchment paper or baking paper, and I want to line it up halfway on top of my circle, and I want to hold that down so it doesn't move while I lined up the centerpiece. So I'm now going to, and it's not lifting, so I need to scrape that down. You can do it on the back as well. Make sure that it stays on the transfer tape. Yep, so it's now in position. And so now I want to line this up on my petal. So I want to, on the petals, so I want to go to the circle, line it up, make sure I have that in the position of where I want it. It's on top of the other ones. I'm pretty happy with that. I now can lift that up and then drop that down and layer it on top of my other vinyl. Give it a scrape, grab the corner and peel that away. And I've now done a layering using a guideline, a guide marker, as I've done with those 3 dots. I can now lift that up and remove them, which is probably not easy at the moment because I've made the mistake of scraping them, all 3 of them down. So there's a little tip for you: don't scrape your guideline, your guide markers, with your scraping tool down. And there you have it. So you've got a layered object with different colours of vinyl and it's all in position. So I now take the backing off of that and I can slide that into my project and job done. And there you have it, a layering vinyl project. And you can now go into intricate designs and use your guide marker to make sure everything lines up perfectly and you don't have any mistakes of putting it in the wrong position. So I hope that helped. If you did like this video, please click like and subscribe, and we'll see you again.